It is 2nd July 1996. A dusty stretch of road near Mponela is quiet. Traffic is thin, and yet here lies a wreck. A vehicle crashed into a stationary tractor. A tractor that should not have been there. A tractor that felt like a message. Inside the mangled metal, one body lies still. Not just any body, it is the body of Malawi's former Inspector General of Police, McWilliam Lunguzi. He was a man who once walked among Malawi's powerful, a man who sat at the table where decisions of life and death were made, a man whose name appeared in court files, commission reports, and in whispers spoken in fear. Now he lay silent, and just like that, the questions began. Who wanted him dead? How did he die? Was it only an accident? Or was it part of the long shadow of Malawi's political darkness? A darkness where people did not simply die, they were removed. To answer those questions, we must go back, far back, to the Malawi he helped shape. Welcome to True Crime Malawi, or simply TCM. Here we tell Malawi's most shocking and important stories with truth, dignity, and respect. We don't sensationalize tragedy, we honor the victims, we analyze the evidence, and we ask the hard questions, not to accuse, but to understand. If you believe these stories deserve to be told honestly and respectfully, you are in the right place. This is TCM. McWilliam Lunguzi was born around 1946. He hails from Dedza district in the central region of Malawi. He rose from an ordinary background and joined the Malawi police force in the late 1960s, a time when Dr Hastings Kamuzu Banda ruled Malawi like a god king. Dr Hastings Kamuzu Banda's rule over Malawi from 1964 to 1994 was a 30-year autocratic regime characterized by a complex mix of economic development and severe political repression. He was a pro-Western, anti-communist leader who became the country's president for life in 1971. Dr. Banda's rule was marked by an extensive personality cult and the ruthless suppression of dissent. Political opponents were often jailed without trial, exiled, or murdered, and the culture of fear prevailed. It was in this environment where Mr. McWilliam Lunguzi thrived. In those days, being a police officer did not only mean catching thieves, it meant watching the population. It meant knowing who was talking, who was meeting, who was thinking anything against the life president. Police were part of the surveillance machine. Prisons were full of political detainees, men and women whose only crime was writing a poem, holding a discussion group, or being suspected of wrong associations. You did not want to cross Dr. Banda in any shape or form. Step by step, year by year, Mr. McWilliam Lunguzi climbed the ladder. He was not loud, he was not dramatic, he was patient. And patience is how you survive in a dangerous system. He maintained discipline and hard work. He was intelligent and he stood out among his peers. By the late 1980s, he was no longer just a police officer, he was a man the system trusted. Political prisoners remember his presence. One detainee, the poet and academic Jack Mapanje, later wrote that a senior security man once visited him in prison and introduced himself with chilling simplicity. I am McWilliam Lunguzi. I am head of security and intelligence. I report directly to him. Him was Dr. Hastings Kamuzu Banda. That sentence alone tells us who Mr. McWilliam Lunguzi was. He was the eyes and ears of the state. He was the man who knew the secrets and who guarded them. It is not clear when he rose to the position of head of security and intelligence. That position during Dr. Banda's era meant he was close to the center of power. Very, very close. And then, in April 1990, Mr. McWilliam Lunguzi was appointed Inspector General of Police, the top cop in Malawi. In the eyes of many officers, he represented progress and pride. They had seen him rise and was reaping the fruits of his hard work. But on the other side of society, the victims of political power and political prisoners saw something else. They saw the smiling face of the feast that had pressed on them for so long. Because when you rise inside a police system built on fear and dictatorship, you must, somewhere along the way, have bought into it in a big, big way. 11 years before his rise to Inspector General in May 1983, 4 men left Lilongwe Parliament heading towards Blantyre. These were Ministers Dick Matenje, Aaron Kadama, Twaibu Sangala, and Member of Parliament David Chiwanga. They never arrived. They died at a place called Tambani in Mwanza, southern district of Malawi. Their bodies were later found in a Peugeot vehicle, killed in a road accident in Mwanza, the Banda government declared. Apparently, they were escaping Malawi. People did not believe it, but during Dr. Banda's rule, this belief was dangerous. So Malawians swallowed their truth and waited. These 4 men had earlier committed a cardinal sin against Dr. Banda. During the parliamentary session, the 4 openly criticized significant overspending and indebtedness by government departments and parastatal companies, some of which were chaired by the powerful right-hand man of the president, Mr. John Tembo. In May 1994, Malawi held its first democratic election. Kamuzu Banda, after over 30 years in power, was defeated. The Malawi Congress Party lost, and President Bakili Muluzi began to clean house. Just 1 week after taking power, he removed McWilliam Lunguzi as Inspector General and tried to send him away as a diplomat. At that moment, some thought, good, that Dr. Banda man is gone away from the police. But McWilliam Lunguzi was not done. He took the government to court and he won. He contested that his reassignment was illegal. In a case now famous in Malawi's legal history, judges declared that the president must follow the constitution. Removing the Inspector General without explanation was unconstitutional. For the first time in Malawi's new democracy, the court told the president, "You too must obey the law." Ironically, a man accused of helping suppress rights under Dr. Banda became the man whose court case strengthened rights under democracy at the time. But that law does not seem to hold any water now, as all the presidents now appoint and reassign police inspector generals or army generals and their deputies as they see fit. President Bakili Muluzi, newly elected, set up a commission of inquiry to investigate the Mwanza accident. Its findings were not exactly surprising, but the manner of their deaths was shocking. It was an overkill. The commission found that the Mwanza Four were not killed by an accident. They were beaten with hammers and clubs by a police killing squad, and their bodies were placed in the Peugeot to stage a fake crash. But another detail was even more explosive. The commission found that as pressure mounted in late 1993, the blue Peugeot used in the murders mysteriously disappeared. Documents say it was moved from Chileka police to Lilongwe. It was incinerated, burnt by the police, and photographs, negative films, and certain post-mortem materials also vanished. The evidence was destroyed. Shockingly, the Commission's report states that Inspector General McWilliam Lunguzi had ordered the destruction of the evidence. That sentence has followed him like a shadow ever since. Was it destroying evidence to protect killers? Was he acting under orders? Was he preserving state secrets from a regime collapsing around him? We will never know because the physical evidence is gone. But in Malawi's collective mind, the distraction itself became evidence. Meanwhile, the Mwanza case had now moved to criminal court. Charges included conspiracy to murder, accessory after the fact to murder, destroying evidence. And among the accused stood Dr. Banda, Cecilia Kadzamira, John Tembo, senior police officers, and McWilliam Lunguzi. Just imagine that picture, a former inspector general now seated among the accused in the trial of the most famous political killings in modern Malawi. The trial gripped the nation. For the Mwanza families, this was hope. For victims of the Banda regime, this was justice. For politicians, this was theater. For Lunguzi, this was survival. But after 5 long months, a jury withdrew the charges. Not enough evidence, they said. Mr. McWilliam Lunguzi walked free. Legally, he was innocent, but morally, the question remained in the public. Does innocence in law equal innocence in truth? Malawi never agreed on the answer. In 1995, after surviving court, after defeating a sitting president in constitutional law, Mr. McWilliam Lunguzi announced the worst-kept secret. He had joined the Malawi Congress Party, the same party where Dr. Banda once reigned. There was groundswell of support for him. MCP members were excited. He was very, very popular. He had a quiet charisma about him and people gravitated towards him like a magnet. Gauging the mood at the time, he was very likely to wrestle the MC presidency from those who considered themselves custodians of the MCP. The inner circle of the MCP was very uncomfortable. Allegedly, party stalwarts such as Mr. John Tembo and Gwanda Chakwamba were very unhappy with Mr. Lunguzi. They felt that their positions in the party were under threat. They whispered, "He wants to be president of the MCP. He may challenge Gwanda Chakwamba, who was then the party president. He may even one day replace President Muluzi." Power never sleeps, and old systems never forget. In early July 1996, Mr. McWilliam Lunguzi traveled with Mr. Gwanda Chakwamba to a rally in Mzuzu in the northern region. They were returning south late into the journey. Somewhere near Mponela, on the road between Mzuzu and Lilongwe, they approached a dark stretch of tarmac. Ahead of them, a tractor, unattended, stationary, no lights, silent, waiting. Their vehicle collided head-on. The impact was brutal. Mr. Gwanda Chakwamba survived with minor injuries, if any at all. Mr. McWilliam Lunguzi did not. He died on the spot. Just like that, the man who was feared by many, the man who carried secrets of Banda's hell, the man who might have risen again, was gone. President Muluzi later announced publicly, "We will investigate this death." Because for the majority of Malawians, things did not just add up. But Malawi never saw a report, no commission, no document, no closure, only silence. In Malawi, on the political scene, some deaths are rarely only death. We know our history. The Mwanza Four, the mysterious falls from favor, General Mankin Chigawa's death, coup d'etat plots, accidents that happen at the most convenient time. So when Malawians hear that a political figure died in a car crash, they do not accept it easily, because our story has taught us something. When the state or some political machinery wants you gone, it does not need a bullet. It needs a moment, a road, a tractor, and silence. Was Mr. McWilliam Lunguzi killed, or was it just fate? We can't say, but we can say this. His death benefited many. Many kept their positions. His silence protected many, and his secrets of the Banda regime, especially on the destruction of evidence, went with him. So then, who was Mr. McWilliam Lunguzi? What is his legacy? we must decide. Was he a villain who served Dr. Banda, destroyed evidence, and protected the system? Was he a victim, swept away by politics he did not control? Or a mirror reflecting Malawi's painful transition from dictatorship to democracy? If you look at him from one angle, he was without a doubt a rising star, not only in the Malawi Congress Party, but in Malawi politics. But if you look from another angle, he is the man whose hands were nearest the truth of Mwanza and many others, and who took the truth with him to the grave. He is both a hero and a villain. He is both victim and sharer of guilt. He is both part of Banda and part of Muluzi's Malawi. And his final chapter, written on the lonely road in Mponela, remains unfinished. Well, folks, that's all for today. I have been True Crime Malawi, simply TCM. Leave your comments below and do not forget to share and subscribe to TCM. Have a good one.